Yeah, Ollie, thank you for joining us.
No worries. Thank you for having me on in your awesome studio.
Yeah, no, we're trying to add some more stuff on the table to make it a bit more interesting. To be fair,
And get like the guests to give you a gift each time, build it up.
Yeah. And you know what? We're going to. I think like at some point we're going to have little gift packs to give to people as well.
Yeah, that would be nice
as we develop things. And the shoe's on the other foot this time around, isn't it?
I know. I've got to restrain myself from asking the question.
Yeah, that's
I'll
right.
sit there and listen.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, I had a great experience with you. Actually, that was quite a good eye opener. For a good experience because I've done one a long time ago, but it's nice to see the positive message that you're actually sending out at the moment.
Yeah,
Ollie.
no, definitely. There needs to be more of it. To be fair.
Yeah, there does.
People doing it.
Yeah, and do you know what? I have great respect because you're
25.
25.
Wow.
So you're 25 years old, and to be fair, you spread quite a positive message, and you really put yourself out there as well. And I rate that a lot, to be fair, because
It was in the beginning. It was hard. Like it's overcoming that first bit of anxiety, as it were. Getting on camera for the first time was like the biggest hurdle, and then you start doing it a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And then the next thing you know, you've got a podcast. You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then you're just speaking to people normally. Like you can speak to a group of people normally, whereas like before meeting with George and stuff like that, like none of that would have happened.
no, really, yeah. Because how long you been with George now?
So I started working with George last October.
Okay,
So I think I've been with him for a year. No, just over a year.
just over a year now.
Yeah,
Oh, nice,
yeah.
nice.
Maybe a year and a half potentially.
Yeah, and there's a great bunch of people in the group. To be fair.
100%.
So Ollie, like, so we know. Well, for anyone that doesn't know, Ollie's a tree surgeon. But before we kind of get into where you are today, like, tell us a bit about your past, like what you kind of grew up and done, and what life was like for you. And
Life was, I'll say, it's been I put something up on TikTok the other day. Actually, I was like, it's been a wild ride, and it has been chaos at times. I grew up in a very like work-based environment. So like, my dad was working 7 days a week, and he would like have a load of different jobs. So he'd be like working on the roads, and then he stopped doing that. Then he was a landscaper, and then a little bit of a tree surgeon for a while. So it was just 7 days a week. So I never like grew up with my dad present fully. Like it was always work. But on the other foot of that, it was to keep my mum afloat, to be able to look after me, my brother and sister.
nice.
So there was a reason for it, but when you're that age, you don't see that reason.
No.
You're like, where's my dad?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He's working.
Especially like for the male, like having a male role model.
Yeah, no,
in your life.
100%. But he still was like a role model in that aspect of it, because I was going to work with him, like from the age of like 11 or 12. Like when I wasn't at school or doing something, 'cause on the weekends they'd be like, right,
You're coming out with me.
yeah,
Nice.
for like £10 a day, pushing wheelbarrows
Oh, nice.
around.
Oh,
and
you got
stuff like
paid as
that.
well.
I got paid.
Yeah, nice.
I know.
Was that your first job then? Yeah.
That was my first job.
Nice.
But it was good. You learn a lot of skills, and especially at that young age, you're really impressionable. So like whatever is in your environment, you absorb like a sponge.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
And he taught you some good values from earlier on, right? Like to work and you get paid for working. So that's
yeah. I mean, he installed a stupidly good work ethic into me from a young age. But again, it came at a sacrifice of not doing all the other stuff what kids that age would be doing.
Yeah.
So it's more like I was like a kind of like an adult at that age in that world of working
definitely
and doing stuff like that. Like I actually went to work for an actual company when I was 14. Through work experience, I managed to persuade my school to let me go the work experience point.
Nice.
to work on the trees. And that's where it
at 14 as well.
Yeah, at
nice.
14, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because a lot of like the health and safety around that is.
I mean, you probably won't be able to do it nowadays.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, so I managed to just get through it. So like through school and that, like 14 really is when I first started trees properly, like working for a company for work experience, and then went to college. I actually failed school and lied my way into college.
Nice.
So I didn't get you had to like get a certain criteria of grades for whatever it was, like English and science and maths and all that. But I didn't reach all of them, so I was like, I passed, but they're remarking my tests. They're like, okay, cool, you can come in and then just let us know when they send you your remarks. They didn't. They actually marked me down, so I got worse. But then they asked me, I was like, yeah, mate, it's all good. And they just got me to sign a bit of paper saying I got these grades, and then they're like, cool.
Sorted.
Yeah. So I was at college for 2 years, from 16. It was actually a year and a half, 6 months was out working full-time in the industry. So worked at a company. I've been trying to get there for ages. I was phoning them up because they were at the top of my road, so it's easy. I couldn't drive at the time either because I was 16, and so they're at the top of my road. I could walk there, but then they weren't getting back to me. So I was like calling them, emailing them. I even walked up into their yard multiple times asking to see the boss, and no one would show me him. They were like, eyes out. I think he was in the office. So like,
Who's this kid, man?
And then one day I just get a phone call, and he's like, I hear you've been up in the yard a couple of times asking around for me. I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm after a job. He's like, cool, come in for a meeting. And
I love that.
from that, the rest was history. Stayed there a couple of years until I was 18, and then I was offered a job in Australia doing trees. So
as well? Nice.
So I flew all the way out to Australia for a year, worked out on the trees there.
Brilliant. Yeah, I went there a few years back as well. It's a beautiful place, actually.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
it's lovely.
Sun shines a lot more compared to over here.
But at the same time, obviously, because I was working so much and I was missing out on like the normal stuff, then I managed to catch up with the normal stuff. I just like hit everything very hard. Nice. It's like drinking, drugs, everything.
Was that in Australia or when you come back?
In Australia as well.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like a lot of like the party lifestyle and stuff like that. So like I did an obscene amount of drugs in Australia. An obscene amount.
Yeah, well they're very strict over there, to be honest, aren't they? So my friend lives over there, and he told me there how strict the police are. Like you end up going to prison for like very small amounts of cannabis and stuff like this.
Swear,
Man.
Yeah. So
I had a few friends. They got pulled over and found weed in the car, but again, like, because I used to work at the hostel as well, because my job fell through because I was like working and then moving up and then working and moving up to pay for me going around Australia, basically.
Nice.
And it was good because I had a niche skill working with trees, so I was more of like a sought after employee opposed to like someone who was like working the bar or something like that, where everyone works the bar when they go traveling and stuff like that, whereas mine was like quite unique, which meant I could make good money and at the same time move around.
I mean, my friend's a scaffolder over there, a good friend of mine, and he makes a serious amount of money, but everything is a lot more expensive over there. Compared to so it kind of almost balances.
It's relative.
Yeah,
I would say the money overall, if you were to compare both on an equal scale, would be better over there.
Yeah, would it?
The quality of life's better.
100%.
I just wouldn't agree with the quality of work. It's a lot of like big, like it's great if you want to take loads of trees down, like, and you like doing that every day. But if you like making trees look nice, it's not exactly the best country.
Really?
Yeah. So again, like, I went up there and I was going up to Cairns to work for a job which I'd sorted out when I was working down in Brisbane. And on my way up to Cairns, I was just chilling out up the East Coast, just making my way up a little bit slow.
Nice.
My job fell through. So I had like some money sitting back on, like just in case something happened, which it did. The job fell through, but I couldn't find another job.
Right.
Because no one was hiring trees.
So it's lucky you had some money in the bag.
So I like kind of burnt through that by like staying at the hostel and just going around trying to find a job, any job. I didn't care, like even washing dishes, no one would hire me. And I was one day away from becoming homeless because I had no money, nothing. I was just like, I was quite a prideful person, so I didn't want to phone home and be like, yeah, this happened. Help me.
Yeah.
I just got to do something about it. And it was literally, I was at the last night before I was getting kicked out because I couldn't afford to pay any more in the room. I was like, what am I going to do? So I went down, I spoke to the manager there. I was like, is there anything at all that I can do just in exchange for me to just sleep here?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, as it so happens, the kitchen cleaners just left. I was like, sweet.
Yeah,
nice.
fair enough.
So I clean the kitchens twice a day in exchange for accommodation.
Nice.
So I didn't get paid for it.
No,
and then I was there for like, I think I was doing that for about 3-4 weeks maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, like the night watchman job's available if you want it. And that's actually paid. So you work one shift and you get your whole week paid for. And then whatever else you work, you get paid. I think it's like $200 a shift or something like that. Which was better than nothing. So I was like,
for sure, man.
I was like, yeah, I'll take that. And it was like working
up,
nights. That was the only thing. So it's like working, I think it was like 8 o'clock. I think maybe a little bit earlier than that. It might have been 7 till like 6, 7 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like throughout the whole night. It was just like making sure everything's in order, like cleaning whatever's messy up.
Graveyard shift.
Yeah, pretty much. Like security.
Got to do what's necessary, haven't you?
Do what you got to do, bro. But it's crazy how things line up at the perfect time, right? And if you don't ask, you don't get.
It's mad because if I hadn't have asked, I would have never have known about something that was right under my nose.
Yeah.
And it is that way. It's just like, yes, I was prideful at the time, but then it's kind of like pushed me to ask that question.
Yeah. It opens up new doors and opportunities, doesn't it?
So then my tree job actually came back through, like after a little while of me working the night shifts, and obviously I'd like settled in with everyone, so that kind of like lifestyle of going out partying every day. And I was like, yeah, I'll take the tree job. So I was like working nights and then in the days as well, and it was a killer.
Was it?
It was a killer.
A lot, man. Too much.
Yeah, that's. I think like it's nice to test out the waters, but yeah, you got to be careful of your mental health and how far you push these things, because if you burn out, then, or you know.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, because I turned 19 over there, so I was still young, and it was there was a lot of lessons which I was learning, but wasn't aware of why they were happening or gaining anything out of it. It was just like sleeping with women, drugs, getting pissed every night. And that's like the life you wanted to live.
Yeah.
And there were many times where I probably should be dead in that country.
Wow, bro. It's not your time. It's not your time.
I know. There was a little. Yeah, I'll tell that story. I was on like 2 tabs of acids and went swimming in the creek, but didn't realise that there was crocodiles in the creek. But there was a sign saying, "Don't swim, crocodiles," but it was dark, so I couldn't see the sign. So I just went down like battered, and I was like, "Oh yes, water." And just went for a little swim, and do you know what? Someone must have been watching on me that day, because I do not know how I came out of that creek unscathed.
Yeah, definitely playing with fire on that one, to be fair. The thing is, when we're young, like, we take so many risks anyway. Some strategic ones, but then others are just like risk for the sake of it, to be fair. So
I mean, that's like it's kind of like a superpower almost, like the carefree of the risk taking. Because when I got back from Australia, I was still 19, so it's like just before Christmas, and I said to myself, I was like, right, what are you going to do? Because you're still going to do trees, but you're going to work for someone, you're going to go for a subcontractor, you're going to set up your own business. And I remembered when I was working on my work experience at 14, one of the guys was like, look, you do trees for the love of it. If you want to make money, you run a business. So I was like, that was in the back of my mind. So I was like, cool, I'm going to set up a business. I was like, I can either work for someone, save up, get a house, like the normal thing, what a lot of people are taught in schools, like save up, get a good job, get a house, a family. I was like, I could risk it all. I'm young enough, and just pile all that money, which I would have been saving, into starting a business. So that's what I did, started a business.
Nice.
With nothing in my account because I came back broke from Australia. So I started with that. I just a bit of subcontracting around to just gain a little bit of money up to buy my first van. And ever since I got my first van, work just started exploding in. And then it was coming in so fast, I just ended up having to finance a chipper because I just needed a chipper to continue working. And it was just like one thing to the next, like really quickly. And at 19, like, it was a little bit tricky to navigate all of that knowledge you kind of needed and the experience which wasn't there.
Okay.
So it was a little bit like winging it half the time. Yeah, like making it up as you go along.
Okay, yeah.
I had like some good people around me at the time who were giving me work as a subcontractor. it started to change as it started to take off, and I started to become like in their eyes a threat. Then it changed quite quickly.
And I assume that you had support from your father as well, because considering all of that experience that he had from it, it kind of made sense that you would kind of tap into that knowledge and experience, or were you very much like, I'm going to do this all by myself and find out all the hard way, like most of us we do when we're younger?
So my dad was under the view of get a job, you're safe.
Oh, okay. Really? Considering the path that he walked down, right?
Because he went down there and he was like, I hated it. It was shit. I'm not doing it again. Yeah. Okay. Like he had like a load of guys, and it all didn't work out too well. We like just didn't like the stress of it all.
Oh, really?
So like his advice to people was just get a job. It's safe. You don't need to worry about any of that.
Less hassle.
Yeah. And like the payrolls and like the taxes, the VAT, and all of that. You don't need to worry about it if you work for someone. I was
100%.
I was like, that's cool if you just want to stagnate where you are and just live that life for the rest of your life. I was like, but that's not me.
Well, the thing is, bearing in mind you had your role model, or your father was an entrepreneur basically, and you saw that growing up. So to some degree, I'd look at that as being like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, that's what I want to be like when I become older. So, you're talking about doing that from like 10, 11 years old. So really young age. Yeah. So that was like embedded into you. Just very similar to me, by the way. Dad used to take me and my sister to the office. So you got that, you kind of got that experience from a very early age. So when he was telling you to go and do a normal 9 to 5, it was completely a different dynamic to what you've been brought up experiencing.
Yeah, it was always like, I'd say disheartening is the word.
Yeah, was it?
For someone that you kind of looked up to for that whole thing, and he's just like.
The thing is, you know what? For an entrepreneur, it can either make you or break you. Like, and I'm not saying it broke your dad completely, but the level of stress that you put yourself under compared to being an employee. The dynamic is massively different.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like,
1,000,000%.
I will sit here and say, like, being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. Like the stress that you have to endure.
Yeah.
Will question your very point of doing what you're doing a lot of the times.
So what was interesting is actually I've started to look at entrepreneur in different ways, because I know people that have their own businesses but don't necessarily work because actually they like spending their time with their family, or so they actually use entrepreneurism to take advantage of having more time rather than working 5-6 days a week to pay the bills. When you're an entrepreneur, you can actually have an opportunity to make more money in less time.
Yeah, but once you've made it. What about at the start? You've got to kind of sacrifice quite a lot.
Yeah.
Is it once you've made it, or are you saying like throughout the whole?
To be fair, you don't even have to make it, because if you you could charge people in 3 days what somebody might charge people in 5 days.
Okay.
Depending on the product that you're offering and the quality of service that you're giving, you can actually do that.
So you have the option, to do that. If you wanted to.
If you want
some
to.
people just go straight in and they don't.
So like somebody I know specifically, he's very in the boundaries of working at 8 and finish. He's got his own business, so he works at 8, finishes at 5 or 5:30, maybe 6. Doesn't work any weekends. And at first, I really struggled to resonate with that, if I'm honest with you, because I was a complete opposite.
Just full on.
I was too much, to be honest, and that pushed myself, like what we were speaking about, to some dark places, which I wouldn't encourage people to do for a long period of time. I do think if you're serious about growing a business, there's an actually necessary part of doing that to get it into a more sustainable place. Because otherwise, what happens is you just get stuck in the same location. If you don't push it to where it's got to get to, then you just get stuck in a circle.
You're just there, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what can happen in. But sorry, hijacking the conversation. So your dad was obviously advising you not to, and as a rebel child, I don't doubt that you done it anyway.
Yeah, I was like, doing it anyway.
Didn't it make you want to do it a bit more? The fact that he said not to.
Most likely, right?
Kind of. It's like the point that you want to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And that's a great factor for driving
Exactly.
someone to do something.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a stubborn teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe he was trying to reverse psychology me. I don't
you
know.
never know.
I
You
don't
never know.
But it was good. But at the same time, coming back from everything in Australia, like I came back with a pretty bad drinking problem.
Right.
So that mixed in with starting out a business
Didn't go hand in hand.
It's not a good mix.
Yeah.
It's not a good mix. You know, I was like, I would sometimes turn up to jobs like still drunk,
Wow.
like unable to see.
Chopping down the wrong tree.
Yeah, like I have one of the guys of me.
That was your unique selling point.
Yeah.
The alcohol.
That's it. I'll do some wavy
drunk.
hedges.
Yeah,
Great. But
Yeah.
no, I used to turn up to site sometimes still drunk. Like after a 2-day bender.
Wow.
And it was not good, and I wouldn't advise it to anyone.
Yeah. No.
It's not fun.
The thing is, when you're young, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I think as you're going through that journey, and some people will lose themselves before they find themselves. So I think, from that point of view, I definitely went through my own kind of thing. So, really, all you can really do is have compassion towards people, because at the end of the day, they're trying to find their feet. They're trying to stand up for themselves. They might not have had the luxuries that other people did have in life. So, it's not like you're comparing apples to apples here. You're comparing apples to pears every step of the way.
So what did you do then? You were drinking, and then you thought, you know what, I've had enough, man. I need to.
It was just to the point where like you could smell alcohol on me. Like
Okay,
I'd be sweating it out, and then going up to like if you're getting in close proximity of clients, like you got to go through the house to look at something, and they can smell it on you.
It's not a good.
And it's not a good look
It's not.
for the business.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I wanted to sort myself out anyway. I started to slip down that slippery slope of like your mental health slipping away.
Yeah.
So I kind of stopped drinking. With me, I just stopped. Like I didn't like wean off it, just cold turkey. I just stopped drinking.
All or nothing.
Sometimes the best way though, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Hard, though.
it was just I didn't think about it. I didn't really go out. I just like threw myself into work like 7 days a week, like
Solid.
every week, 7 days.
Wow.
And then you kind of reach the other problem is it all comes crumbling down when you get to that certain point of 7 days a week.
Oh, well, after a certain period of time where it's just like crash.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like we have like a burnout and you just crumble and you need to like take a little bit of time.
Yeah, because what you essentially done is you filled a void.
Yeah.
With work.
Yeah.
Rather than like I did that as well, and then what happens is there's nothing else, is there? So it's just 7 days a week of work, which generally leads to burnout, doesn't it? So it's a
good distraction from something which 100%. You should be taking note of, and you don't want to, and you just throw yourself into your work and it hides it all. Yeah. So from that, like I'd say I probably stopped drinking in my 20s. Like to the point what I used to. I still drink now, but I probably get drunk maybe once a year.
Wow.
For a Christmas do.
Okay.
I'll have like a few beers with the guys or something like that, but I won't. I won't get drunk.
Yeah. So a big shift.
Shift, man. Yeah. So it's good, and I like it like that because I hate being hungover now.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It's horrible. So so for about 20, 21, 22, around 22 is when I was like kind of questioning everything, like all this work I'm putting in, and like I'm not really. Well, to me, it felt like I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you've been spending all this time spinning around in circles, and that's like when I started to actually become depressed from it, and that was like it was a multiple of other factors in that, but that was like kind of one pushing the way for it. And when I was 23, I think it was 23, late 23, like I just kind of was 24. It was every day was dark. Every day was a dark day. It was just like you didn't want to get out of bed. Like you didn't even want to like really exist in the world. And it just got worse.
You were still working through that.
Yeah.
You were still pushing.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, because obviously I work with quite a high risk job. You you get to the point where you start having those thoughts, and like everything's tempting, like working with something, and you're like, yeah, maybe I could just quickly.
It's dark.
Yeah.
So was it like what else was stressing you out? Like work, heavy work, and
Mainly, most of it was to do with stress.
Okay.
Of not thinking you've achieved anything.
Okay.
Not thinking like you're good enough for something.
Yeah.
There was another reason, and I'm still trying to work that reason out, like to this day, of what it is. It's like you got to go back and
It's
dig.
a deeper. It's a
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think you know, sometimes you don't feel like you deserve certain things as well.
Yeah.
I definitely, you know, went through that kind of phase myself, to be honest. And you know, you almost feel like like everyone else is happy, but you don't deserve to be happy, or you know, and it goes back to like previous conversations we spoke about, that even in a cultural side of things, that we was always busy caring about everyone else and how was everyone else, and never about how you actually felt, by the way, bro. And that was a hard thing to mentally get over, but
it's tough though, because imagine like you're working hard and you're putting all the hours in under the sun, and it's like you feel like you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the story of the water pump. Do you know the story of the water pump?
Nah.
It's like, imagine a water pump, and like you're pumping the water pump, but
the
water's like low, right? And you got to keep pumping, but the water's coming up, but you can't see any water, right? But if you stop pumping, it's going to go back down, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you at that stage, you would probably pumping, but the water's coming. But eventually, when it comes, and it starts to pour, it's not going to stop, isn't it? So it's going to just flow.
Yeah, exactly.
So is that kind of what happened to you? Or?
Yeah, kind of. It was just like, it was a lot of lessons. Again, as I say, like I should have been learning at the time, but you're not really. Like, hindsight's a bitch.
Okay.
You like look back and like, yeah, this happened for that reason, but at the time you were like pissed off, and like you made things worse because you didn't understand it.
Yeah.
So it's like a big mindset kind of shift, like in my life now, opposed to back in those days. Yeah. Like I was at 21, looking at doing 8 to 12 years inside.
Oh wow!
Through my stupidity.
Whoa.
And I look back on that now.
Scary.
And it was the worst and best thing that could have happened at that point in time. Okay. Because if that didn't happen, I would have spiraled further down, and someone probably would have actually got seriously hurt. Or
so you've been through a lot. That's why when you said you was 25. Yeah, I was like, whoa, not because of how you look, but because of your energy, you know. And you know.
Yeah, again, like everyone can give like advice and say to do this. You can read all your books and like, right, when this happens, I'm going to do this. But honestly, life is the best teacher. That it will give you lessons that you never expect, and at the times when you least expect them. Okay. And so from that, I was going through the court procedures and stuff like that. Basically, I was being done for a possession of an offensive weapon with the intent to use for harm. That's big. And it was at the point when there was like a lot of stabbings in London, so they were cracking right down on weapons.
Yeah, bro. So they want it.
Yeah. So that's why they were being real strict with.
So what were you trying to achieve, by the way?
Basically, someone, a family was grooming my sister.
Right.
And we went round there.
Right.
I pulled the weapon out.
Yeah.
And went to go for someone.
Mate, understandably.
And,
I know it's not right, but
it's again, it's like the heat of the moment. You're like lost in the emotion of rage.
Yeah, you happily go down for like some loved ones, you know what I mean? So,
and in that moment you don't think. You
bro.
don't, like, nothing matters in the world. Like, it's just you in that moment. And that's
tunnel
when
vision. Red.
Yeah, and that's when the consequences come after, which you didn't think about.
Yeah. Which is quite interesting, because although you both kind of were resonating with why you would do something like that, knowing that was the consequence worth doing it.
Yeah.
In your opinion?
I mean, I'm glad it happened back then.
All right, let me reframe that question. If you actually got the 8 to 12 years, would you have thought it was worth it?
Oh no, I would have sat in there like, what a dick.
Yeah, because
at the moment.
And it is heat at the moment. Yeah, and it's just quite interesting because you were lucky because you didn't like the issue. You never actually had to face the real consequence, but you was probably like very, very close to it, which made you really kind of feel the lesson.
Yeah.
But could you imagine having to spend 8 to 12 years physically in prison working out that lesson and losing all that time? I mean, it would have been traumatic, to say the least, right?
It was not a good time. I'm not going to lie. I was getting like death threats from people inside prison who I went over their family's house.
Really?
So it was all a big, giant mess.
Yeah, was it?
And yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like, it scared the shit out of me. The thought of spending like 8 to 12 years inside.
For sure, bro.
And
it's hardcore, man.
Everything got dropped. Witnesses pulled out. And it was literally like someone was watching over me, because that shouldn't have happened.
Oh, really?
Like, there's so many mistakes were made in that case. They couldn't put the case on me.
Wow.
And like any other case, like any other time, those mistakes, they wouldn't have happened. So it was one lucky ass escape.
Yeah.
And from that, I was like, right, I just got to get my anger in check. Because like, if that happens again, that outcome's not going to be there.
Yeah, there's second chances.
Yeah.
They don't always get a second chance, so.
That kind of slapped me in the face a little bit to check what was going on, and like with me. And then I say, like, later on in life, like, I went down that hole of depression and then wanting to take my own life. And it's gonna sound like really easy about how I dealt with that. But it was just one day I was sitting on the computer and I was like, fuck this, man. Like, why am I here? Like, why am I feeling like this? Like, I don't want to feel like this.
Yeah, like, what's going on?
I just want to enjoy my life again.
Okay.
And enough. I was just like, right, what am I going to do to get my life back into shape? So I just set out like a little plan in my mind, like little milestones to reach, and then just keep going, like working on my physical health. Because at the time, like, I was powerlifting, and I got heavy, and I got big and heavy, and I was 113 kilos.
Wow.
And you know, for someone
someone
who spent most of their life walking around about 70 kilos.
Oh, were you? Yeah, a lot slimmer in comparison.
I doubled in size.
I hit my reach. I hit my peak of about 120 at my heaviest, by the way, but not through any training, by the way. It was just because I used to love.
It was just eating
the jaw.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to go.
I mean, mine was like, I was just like, I want to get big. I want to get like bulky and like strong. And then I was just like, well, we'll eat shit food and like loads of it.
Was this in the thing of the mental health, like while you was going through it?
Yeah.
Or was this your way out?
Not necessarily the way out. Like, powerlifting was an outlet that definitely helped with it.
Yeah, definitely.
But then obviously the side effect was I was getting big, like not like muscular, yes, but more was fat.
And being up on a tree, I don't suppose that works.
I didn't climb anymore at that point.
Really? Yeah.
No chance. The trees would be bending over.
That's
me
it.
Up there.
Be back down to the ground again.
That's
it. Those in trees.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But I just remember like looking in the mirror, and I'm just like, look at the state of yourself, like from what you were to now. I'm like, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
So I just decided, like, right, I'm gonna get in shape, and like that with that, it's gonna look after my mental health a bit. So started going on hikes. First one absolutely killed me. I was dead. And then we just started pushing the distance. And it was great because it was like I was alone. I took my dog with me. So it was just me and him, and we would just hike, and we would be out for like between 2 to 5 hours. And you just wouldn't speak to anyone apart from like you speak to your dog, but everyone does that.
And what sort of distance are we talking about? Like
so hikes? I worked up from, I think I started around 4K.
Okay.
And then I worked my way up to doing 25.5K.
Did you? That's serious. Yeah, that's a serious hike. I love, to be fair, I love hiking, and I've seen your videos as well because you've had your
my little camera out.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
it's
Insta
cool.
360 camera.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
brilliant.
It's great. It's great.
I done Snowdonia about 2 years ago. Yeah, so we went up to Scotland with my mate. Yeah, it was brilliant. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But it was steep. Yeah, like you need some solid legs on you to climb some of these mountains, to be honest with you.
I've never climbed a mountain, but I like walking out in nature.
Yeah,
it's great. Even you don't even need to do like a long distance, just like outside.
Yeah.
Even like I would say alone is probably best because you kind of like left to like resonate with what's going on in your mind. And that was the first step in bringing myself out of depression, was being left alone with my own thoughts, but in a positive way, where I was like exercising, like, out in nature, doing that. So I was still like heavy. I wasn't really losing much weight from it, like maybe a couple of kilos. I really started trying to lose weight about 4 or 5 months ago, because I was like, I want to get in shape. And then on top of that, I used to kickbox.
Okay.
So I came from that kind of background, floating between powerlifting and kickboxing.
Wicked, man.
And then I stopped kickboxing because I kept on getting shin splints, and it was a pain in the ass. Okay. And then kind of like everything happened with like my mental health. And then I was like on the comeback, and I was like, do you know what? I set like a plan. It was like the plan to become a warrior in my mind. I was just like, you got to be able to hike long distances. You got to be able to fight.
Yes.
And you got to be able to be strong. And I was like, cool. So I'm going to go back kickboxing. And plus, kickboxing's great. Like, not just kickboxing, any martial art is great for controlling your anger.
Absolutely.
And just controlling your overall emotional state. And it's so good for getting you in shape.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I started kickboxing back probably in November. Started back full time and just started eating right. Like, most of it was eating right is how I've lost like a lot of weight. I've lost 14.5 kilos now.
Well done.
So
well done.
It's good. I can like walk around, like energized. I can walk up the stairs and not be out of breath.
Because you got your meal preps, haven't you?
Yeah. Prep kitchen.
Yeah, nice.
So you just like pay for like a set a bunch of meals to come to your house every Sunday.
Okay.
And
it's got they're all weighed.
Protein,
it's all
weighed,
carbs,
all the macros are on it, so you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
I intermittent fast every day, so I don't really eat. I set myself like a thing, so I don't eat after like before 10 a.m. But that normally gets carried over, and sometimes I won't eat till about 5 in the afternoon, just because I've been busy and not thought about eating. But yeah, there's
a lot of health benefits for fasting.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I remember I had got after you tattooed my back, I really fancied trialing out a serious fast. So I done. So I was looking into it, and I'd done research. I'd done about 3 or 4 days of fasting.
Yeah.
I didn't eat at all, and I just drank loads of water. And
that's good though.
Yeah, do you know what? It was quite an interesting experience. I just wanted to see what it was like. And yeah, I lost loads of weight. But we actually spoke about this previously, where as soon as you like eat, you almost balloon because your body's like
wants it back.
Wants it back. It doesn't know what to do with this.
Come back.
Yeah,
you don't just fast and then just scan it.
Yeah,
scan it again.
You got to really like wing yourself back into. But it's crazy because when you actually stop eating for a period of time, you don't actually get hungry. Once you get past that first hunger stage,
it is the first bit. The first bit of hunger is the worst, and once you pass that, like.
But there's massive health benefits from it anyway, right? So
totally.
yeah. But I've had arguments with my friends before. It's like, why are you fasting? Like, there's absolutely no point.
Why are you doing that to yourself, man? Just eat, bro.
Yeah, but I like trying new things out all the time. So
I was really against it. Like, I was you gotta eat, and then I just started doing it kind of like naturally. And then I saw like some things online about it, and I just had a little look. And then my brother was doing it as well, and I was like, I'll just give it a go.
Nice.
And it was good, like really good. It was like consistently like healthy weight loss. It wasn't just like shedding like hundreds of kilos off you in like a day. It was just
And they say when you intermittent fast, you actually your skin, you don't lose the elasticity of your skin, so you don't have like excess skin. As much. It like shrinks back down. Instead of like losing a lot of weight, just like diets and stuff.
That's that. You got to be careful about losing weight too quickly, haven't you? Because it doesn't become as sustainable as opposed to like slow like decline compared to like bang, and then all of a sudden you want to eat something, so you shoot all the way back up. So
plus we need to eat so much, Don't need to eat so much.
Because you used to be quite big. I remember you was a lot bigger when we were younger.
I was a lot bigger. Yeah, man. I was
not from like a overweight point of view, but muscular.
Training. I used to train hard. Yeah. So but too many injuries because I come from a boxing background.
Nice.
From young. So what happened was I ended up breaking my knee when I was around 16 on a moped. No. Yeah, I've come off a moped, and so I didn't do any rehab or anything, or prehab, anything like that. So I got into weights.
Yeah.
So I put all that energy into weights, and then training hard, eating well. But then I remember just being in the gym, and I couldn't stand on one leg. Like I was like, I can't even balance. I'm like, what am I doing, man? I'm injured. I can't balance. Like, I need to change. I need to get like my health back. So yeah, that's when I had a shift, and I started to lose a lot of weight.
You started doing a lot of calisthenics, didn't you?
A lot of calisthenics.
Yeah, I remember
yoga, movement, like Ido Portal movement, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, he works with Conor McGregor back in the old days.
It's crazy what happened, because when you put it out there, like I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what. I wanted to just get healthy, and then I ended up meeting one of my good friends, Mehmet, big up Mehmet, and he was a practitioner under Ido.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was like I started to tattoo him, and he was giving me lessons and sessions, and I've been training with him like for the past God knows how long, like 9 years, 10 years. So it's good, man.
It is tough. Like I tried a bit a couple of years ago, and it is tough. You're like, it's easy. They're walking like crawling along,
locomotions and the animal things. So back to Olly. So then what happened then? What happened? So you started hiking, getting through you started to feel better about yourself.
So I was like, I had a hobby as well, like photography. So like being outside, and I could like shoot outside, and it was wicked. Like the world was literally your playground. And my mental health got better and better, and kind of like through training martial arts and sort of reading the stuff I was reading, more along the lines of stoicism, stuff like that. You kind of like your mindset kind of changes, where everything, like you're absorbing lessons of everything around you all the time. So you kind of take a moment to evaluate a situation of how you're going to react to it, opposed to just going in blindly.
More mindful.
Yeah, definitely.
Conscious.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, like going back to like when I was like in the last point of my depression, where I was thinking about suicide, especially with men, they don't talk about it.
No.
Like with my dad, it was just like, the traditional macho man, like you don't talk about shit.
Maybe he went through that. That's why he didn't want you to go through it.
Yeah, I mean,
never know.
No, you never know. You never know, but you don't talk about like that side of the feelings.
No, you don't. You just bottle it. You just go through it.
Yeah.
And by the way, and I've spoken to so many people about this, you can bottle things up, there's no doubt about it, but it will come out in all ways, shapes and forms, whether it's through anger, whether it's through hate, through like hurting people, like
disease.
Disease. If you don't actually try and release these things, but half the time when we don't even know that they're sitting inside of us anyway, we don't even connect with the trauma that we might have gone through in our past life, and therefore it just sits there, and it just starts growing like a tree and a root. And like that's why people become alcoholics, drug addicts, domestic cases. Like there's, it just goes on and on and on.
If you don't keep it in check, it just spreads before you know it.
Yeah, it's like a wildfire.
There. And normally, like if you're bottling it up, it normally explodes out at the wrong time, at the wrong person, and you've got another mess on your hands.
Yeah.
So it's not good.
And it's one mess to another all the time, isn't it? Like that's just what typically happens. And so what generally happens is people suppress these things, or they use things as coping mechanisms, but what they don't actually do is try to connect with the actual issue, because it's too painful, right? Like to feel like all of that, what you actually feel, and us as men, we generally don't want to connect with our emotions at all.
It don't matter, does it?
It doesn't really matter. No, we're not meant to we are allowed to feel, but the stigma is you're not meant to, and that's what it was like years ago. But the world is changing anyway.
The world is changing. There's a lot of views on how men should or who men are, as it were. Like they're categorized into like, I don't know, I'd say it's like everyone thinks of men being capable of like untold violence, but we're also capable of feeling every other emotion that everyone else feels.
Yeah.
So it's once people know that, and like we're not actually too different between everyone. We all feel the same emotions at different points in our lives, and we all go through shit. It may not be the same, but someone probably quite close to you has been through something similar and has an experience to it. But if you don't want to talk about it, or you're worried about what people are going to think, then you're never going to find that out, and you're never going to sort of like have that person to help you along. With that, so it should be normalized just to talk even to your buddies about whatever it is.
It's hard
checking on them.
It's hard.
Oh, 100%.
I found it very hard before.
Do you know what I heard? I heard a saying that women talk to be understood, where men talk to deal with a problem.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes I think we just need to understand situations rather than, if you want to get something off your chest. Sometimes you just want to be heard rather than someone saying, right, what you need to do is do this. But I'm telling you based on my own experiences of life. How do I know that those things that I'm telling you to do are even relative to you whatsoever? Right?
Yeah.
And that is the problem. Generally men, we're always trying to fix problems.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like. I like, and generally some people just want to be heard. They just want to be listened to, just to get it off their chest. Because what they're actually doing is they're bringing it out. They're bringing it out of their body to release it.
Yeah, there's untold power in just speaking it out loud. Like whatever you're going through, you don't even need to be in front of anyone. Just like out in the open, just sitting by yourself in the room, like
writing.
Yeah, writing definitely. Is a good way.
Gratitude.
I actually I write my whatever. If I'm struggling, I delve quite deep into writing, but I'll write it as like a novel. Okay. So I'll make a little character up, and he'll be part of me.
Oh wow!
And I'll solve it. Yeah. And that little character will go through these problems, and then I'll be like looking at it from the outside. I'm like, how can he solve these problems? And it's like that is therapy to me.
That's cool, bro.
And it's a good way of dealing with it.
Yeah. I'm writing again at the moment. Don't worry, I'm all good. You
can create some animations, bro.
Yeah. There's so many ways. Like if you're like really artistic and stuff like that, you could do it and like drawing like little scenes and stuff like that. Man. But like for me, I've got like a really vivid imagination, so it's like really like. Sick. Cool. I can just zone into it, and
so the acid worked in your favour then.
I still have flashbacks.
yeah. But you know what? That's very expressive anyway. Like just to express when you're like talking about writing things down, and it's expressing yourself, and that like rather than suppressing yourself, you're expressing how you feel.
It's getting it out there, no matter what the method is of getting it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
It all helps. The same. My girlfriend actually, she struggles with mental health at times.
Does she?
And she tries to talk to me, and obviously I'm exactly how you said. Right, these are what you
do this.
Do. Yeah. And she gets quite angry at me. But she works in the mental health sector anyway within the NHS.
Okay.
And so it's a tough job, right?
Yeah. And so she can go into places that have like secure units where there's like guards and stuff like that just to see patients. And she was saying that normally like women will kill themselves in a very relatively like quiet way, whereas men will be quite dramatic,
elaborate about it.
Brutal about it.
Really.
Yeah, they're a lot more like violent in the way they do it.
So like you can kind of understand why she struggles a little bit to some extent, because like sounds like quite a responsible job to have to deal with. And
definitely, because there are a lot of people that actually like she's the only person keeping them looked after.
Yeah, that's right. And to see that on a daily, she sees things on a daily basis that are a little bit untoward, or something that in normal society we probably wouldn't be exposed to.
100%. So there's quite a weird story. So I was taking her to meet like a group of friends last week on the bank holiday. I think it was bank holiday last week, something like that. Anyway, I had to drive to her house to look after her cat. Like she had to check in on her before she went off. So we took a detour round and then came back round, like loop rounds, and we were 6 cars away from the front of the traffic lights. And if she had been like 10 seconds sooner or 20 seconds sooner, we would have been at the front of the traffic lights, waiting to go. And traffic lights turned green, and no one moved. I was like, come on, mate. Green light's here. Come on, what are you doing? And people were starting to get out of the car. I was just like, what the fuck's going on?
The old version of Olly was coming out.
Yeah, the road rage.
Yeah.
But I was just like, what's going on? Like, people were starting to get out of the door and look in the road. And I was just like, what? Some mate had thrown himself off the top of the building into the road.
Wow.
No. Like, killed himself, like, instantly, hit the floor. Like, and it just happened because there was no one, like, there. It was just, the cars had stopped. So, like, some mate had driven past and he had fallen behind him and he pulled over.
That's intense, man.
And it was on a busy main road, and this guy,
it's crazy,
like in his 30s, just decided today was the day that he was gonna take his own life. And that's my point. Like with men, it's like such a violent thing of taking their own lives in that fashion.
Yeah,
like, you know, someone's dad's not coming home or someone's brother's not coming home, and then you got the people who saw that. Like, we didn't see him fall, but we saw the shock of everyone. Like,
do you know what? It's like my dad always said this to me as well. Is about how when you go, it doesn't, like, for you, it doesn't really matter. Nothing changes. Like, that's it. It's gone. It's everybody else it affects. It's like the damage it does to other people in the process as well. It's just like some people have to live with that for like whether that's their son or you know, and
100%. And a lot of people don't realize, like, we're just pebbles in a pond, and like we leave ripples that affect everyone else, and we don't think about it in those moments. And I was kind of like in a bit of shock, and it wasn't until the next day it kind of like hit me that I was just like I've been where you were. Like, I know how you feel. It may be a little bit different, but I know relatively.
bro.
It's a perspective thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Helps from perspective, because essentially, like, had you not started putting the right things in the right places at the right time, you could have
easily
ended up down that route.
And that put one thing to tip you over, you know.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, when I was in that at that point, and I did think, like, if I go, like, it's not fair on my family. And that's probably the biggest thing that did stop me was thinking about the mess that I would leave behind for them to deal with, and that wouldn't be fair.
I've got a friend, by the way, whose brother committed suicide, and I know it. Damn it, like he had to deal with a lot after that. Like, mentally, he was obviously the brother, but then with his mum and dad, like, the impact it has, like, it's tough. You know, and even I had a friend growing up from school whose mum committed suicide at a very young age as well. And it's a shame, because, like, some people generally need help, and you could look at them like you don't even realise they need help. Some people, and
that can make you feel a bit guilty as well, isn't it?
It can,
Some people, if they're like, oh, why didn't I know? I didn't see it. I should have picked up on it. You know, it's things like that. You can start to blame
people
yourself.
blame you 100%. People blame themselves for stuff like that.
Dark.
But in the end, like, I think we are all responsible for ourselves and ourselves alone. We can help influence people and we can try to save people, but the reality is help starts from within yourself, not from somebody telling. It goes back round to, this is what you should do. Like, if you just do this, this and this, well, they're not going to want to do that unless they actually want to do it.
That's what I say to people. I was just like, if I didn't say, like, fuck this, like, I don't want to be here anymore, I wouldn't have got out of where I was. It's down to you. You got to make the choice to.
So could you tell people then
to come out? I didn't. I told a few close people to me, roughly. I didn't speak to my parents about it at all.
Okay.
Like, it was more my girlfriend, and then a few close friends.
That's a big thing to do as well, by the way.
Yeah,
so
it is massive.
Liberating.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough, but liberating.
Yeah.
It is tough, and now I'm, like, at the point where I am comfortable, like, talking about it to other people, because you never know, your story might stop someone else doing something stupid. And again, like, going back to the thing, like, we leave ripples on other people. So like you
positive and negative ones, right?
Yeah,
so
like all actions that you make all have an effect, like big or small, and you don't realize it. Like you could give someone a smile and they might be having a really shit day and it might make their day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
No.
And that's the way I now look at life, like moving through. If someone's one of the guys that works playing up, my first thought is everything all good, like at home? Like, it's never like, what are you doing?
Yeah, because it's quite funny as a business owner. Sometimes you get very caught up in this world of I've got to sort this out, got to do this, got to like. So you think that's the only world, but when you got people working for you, they're humans.
Yeah.
They've got a life inside of work just as much as they have outside of work. So
again, like they're coming into your world, like they've got their own world.
Yeah,
they're just coming into yours. So like you don't really see that part of theirs.
No,
but non-existent.
Yeah.
Through trying to be an understanding person, though, like if you try to understand situations, then you have more chance of maneuvering your way through it all. The less understanding you are with your team or your staff, it generally breaks down quite quickly. So you have to kind of like, it's always important to have compassion, be understanding, but sooner either your goals align with each other or they don't, and respectfully, and you should also know when it's time to call it a day as well, right? Yeah. Because you lean too much one way, you're either not compassionate enough or people just take advantage of you. So
it's tough at times to distinguish that point. I had a guy struggling with his mental health, going through something a little bit similar to what I went through, and I just sat him down and talked about it.
Of course,
we were just driving back from a site, and I was just like, look, like I've been in a similar place. And he was like, I didn't even know that. I was like, yeah, but like this is what happens when you talk to someone. Yeah. And
the thing is that if people really deeply spoke on a deep level, I think we'd all actually connect with each other a hell of a lot more. I think everybody has gone through some real negative phase in their life, through some sort of adversity, and then they've almost come out. Most people have come out the other end. Yeah. Not everybody makes it through to the other side either. Yeah. Some people haven't even crossed the road, let alone gone through any kind of major adversity in life. But yeah, like I think the more people talk about things, the more actually we resonate with each other anyway.
Yeah, I think a lot of people as well, they're like, oh, you've beat depression. I was like, not necessarily. I was just like, we've overcome it. We're in a good place. But, if you don't look after yourself, like your mind and your body, you can very quickly shoot back into that point.
Like pockets, isn't it?
Yeah. And like you could be having a great day and something might happen and it might piss you off and something else might happen and then like it all piles up and that day might be shit. But
so it's a responsibility that you have upon yourself to make sure that everything you're doing is affecting you in a positive nature, right?
Yeah, I'd have like a mental checklist of things that I would like to achieve in a day. Yeah. Not business related, just things like on my well-being, like have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? Yeah. I smoke a lot of cigars, and like everyone knows this from my Instagram. But I smoke a lot of cigars, but like cigar smoking for me is because obviously I'll go outside, take some candles with me, or have the fireball on, or I'll be writing, listening to some music.
Nice.
Whichever way, like smoking a cigar gives me time to like pull myself out of the world and just go through my mind, clearing out the shit that shouldn't be clinging in there.
Yeah. Kind of beats
clearing
what you
the cash.
The cash, and it beats kind of like the other mechanisms you used to use when you were younger.
Yeah,
like 100%. When you're trying to find your feet and like you don't. Oh, this is right for me. This is wrong for me, and then that's a lot less harmful to you what you do now compared to.
Yeah, again, like smoking it's tobacco is gonna cause harm, but I accept that risk. With alcohol, it amplifies the mood that you're in. So
it does.
Being depressed and then you smashing a few bottles of wine, you're not going to be in a good place. Like,
did you know that cigars boost testosterone?
Yes.
Yeah, for a very So I actually googled that a little while back, and I was like, yeah, it actually does. And then it significantly reduces it after that, by the way. So So it kind of shoots up, and then it just goes like that and plummets.
Yeah. What goes up must come down.
Again, like it doesn't have to be like smoking cigars. Just finding something to do that like takes you out of the world for a bit. Like some people have that from gaming or watching their favorite TV show and just switching off. And it's in times where you can just like switch off from everything outside and just like go in your mind and just have a little look what's going on.
I think the duty we have upon ourselves is to make sure that these escapisms are done in something that actually doesn't end up hindering us.
Yeah.
And then you end up having to deal with a bigger problem in life, or you just accept your reality. For example, like an alcoholic will can use that as a coping mechanism and accepts the reality that they're always going to be an alcoholic and may die very early.
Yeah.
They accept it. They'd rather die doing it than live without it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is it like it's in moderation, as I say, you know, having a few beers down the pub on a Friday with the guys. That's cool, but like
daily basis,
every day.
Yeah, and I know people like that, by the way. 7 days a week they'll be drinking, and they've just accepted their life for that. And you know, and it's a shame because, you know, not only do you deteriorate, but it also, again, it goes back round to how it affects everybody else all the time, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot of the time they do it for like the dopamine boost.
Yeah.
But then obviously the more you do it, the more you're going to need to then get that same high that you got. So it's a pretty vicious cycle if you keep doing it every day. So that's why I'd say like that kind of stuff, moderate.
I try to be now really conscious about natural highs that I get from life. And like the boxing that like I might not feel that high when I'm doing it, but as soon as I finish training, like I'm buzzing, like I feel amazing. I feel So I think my ultimate aim at the moment is to keep finding these things that give me these natural highs.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But I think the issue that I found as well in the process is what you just said, is what goes up must come down.
Exactly.
And this is why people try and live a bit of a monotone life where they try not to get too high because they know they've got to deal with the lows, essentially. But, you know, it's like a heart monitor. Like, that's what life is, right? It's like highs and lows.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'd like to think that you're fully embracing, experiencing life when you hit the highs. But unfortunately, you have to then, the terms and condition is you have to come back down again.
There's a price to pay.
There's a price to pay.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realise that, especially like you get a lot of people that chase the highs constantly.
Yeah.
And they like want to live on cloud nine, but then don't realise that they've got
to come down. Yeah. Because you don't realise what it's like to feel good unless you feel bad anyway, right?
So this polarity, isn't it?
Polarity, yeah.
So Olly, Foreman's the mindset. It was born.
It was born through pain, basically.
Okay.
And from everything I went through with the mental health struggles and like dealing with alcohol at a younger age, to working with George, I kind of came to the point where, you know what, I could help people with my experience, like lived experience through that. And so I started a podcast called Olly Foreman's The Mindset. The aim is to just help as many people as we can who decide to listen in.
Yeah,
amazing.
Love that.
Amazing.
Do you know what? You definitely inspired me, to be fair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Me, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I watched that podcast. It was amazing. Man.
Yeah.
It's quite surreal because I'm watching podcasts and now I'm on them.
Yeah.
So,
No, do you know, I used to be I used to have a real big fear and anxiety of speaking in front of people.
Yeah, bro.
Let alone on a camera.
Yeah.
So when that started, it was just, you got real nervous before like each episode.
I certainly did.
Yeah.
And it was like there's like you actually spoke to me about this because I think it was a bit like an anxiety.
Yeah. I remember you messaging me.
And we would talk, and you'd be using gap fillers, or you'd maybe be like, yeah.
Yeah, you're almost afraid of the power of a pause in the conversation.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you just filled the word, like the gap, with just weird noises in between. Yeah.
The truth is, like, as I'm learning all about this, it's genuinely listening to the individual, responding with a question that is totally relevant to what you're talking about, and going deep on it, like questioning it, and you know, and understanding it, and like rather than getting too rigid about certain things. And I want it, like the key in the art to all of this is flowing and letting it be all natural rather than
I only think that comes though from if you're passionate about doing it. I think if this was something I didn't have a passion for, or I didn't like truly like strongly believe was right, I would just not be able to concentrate on it.
You wouldn't be doing it.
I would just be off floating around. Like,
never mind. Yeah, it's like, oh, I wonder what what we're having for dinner tonight. And
just to go back, how was business then after you come out of kind of what you was going through, and like did business start to pick up and do better? Or
do you know, on the plus side of being depressed and throwing yourself into work 7 days a week, business just booms.
Okay.
There is a positive in that aspect. I wouldn't recommend it for anyone.
Yeah.
But there was a positive that came out of it, was that business just blew up even more.
Amazing.
So now it's just, we've gone from relative strength to strength. We've had a few little setbacks along the way, but that's life.
Yeah, man.
So,
but there's a lot to be said. Like when you're trying to reach success, working 100-hour week is going to speed up your process compared to someone that's working a 50-hour week, right? You're going to get to your target, your goal, whatever that is, a lot quicker.
Speed and
But it also changes as well of the view of what is success. So from like what success was for me when I started the business was just a milestone now. So
and you keep, it's like mountains.
Wow,
Like you keep climbing mountains, right?
Yeah, so you've done one thing and you're like, you know what, there's another thing. So you never like fully, and the problem I think a lot of entrepreneurs can get stuck with is chasing perfection, and it's never going to really happen. You just got to enjoy everything that happens when it's good and learn from the bad.
The seasons, isn't it? Sometimes the seasons.
Peaks and troughs up.
The
thing is, it's removing expectation from entrepreneurs. I think you're 100% right. We look for perfection. Oh, that could have been better. You were telling me about a tattoo a little while ago that, you know, I looked at and I was like, that's amazing. Like, but you're almost kind of like beating yourself up, and you know,
I'm always doing that.
Yeah, we're all doing it, right? But you know, when somebody's looking at it from a different angle, they're like, what's this guy talking about?
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of because you can see it, isn't it? If you have a vision or you've got a place to go, or like you want to grow, it's like it's hard for sometimes other people to see it.
100%.
Because it's been given to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
and I think aspiration is one thing. Expectation is totally something unserving of your life at all. Because unfortunately, none of us are owed anything. None of us are entitled to anything. You can work really, really hard, and in most cases, it will come back in some way, shape, or form. Just not necessarily how you actually expect it to be.
Yeah, if you expect to be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, 100%. And I was like that so much when I was younger as well. Like, this big expectation: I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Why ain't I doing this yet? Well, the truth is, I wasn't working hard enough to achieve my goals. You know, like so.
Pull your finger out.
I had to pull my finger out. Yeah, exactly.
It's whenever you see someone who it could be within the same industry as yourself, or along like a hobby of yours or something like that, and you see them doing better, and it's just like they worked harder than me. Like, as simple as that.
Yeah,
it's not like they've had a better upbringing, they've had this given to them. That I don't care. Like they've probably worked harder than me.
Yeah, and I think go on, bro.
The thing is that comparing yourself to anybody else is the worst thing you can ever do in life.
Yeah, you can't.
One thing that I've learned to do now moving forward is I'm aiming to always be better than the person that I was yesterday. Yeah. Like that is the easiest and best way to success, by the way. Like, because your ultimate aim is to improve, become better. It's not about us being in competition with each other, because the reality is they're different scenarios, different.
Yeah, it's all different. You got to put your energy on you, isn't it? If you're looking at him, looking at him, looking at him, while you're looking at you, you're growing, and I'm looking at everyone else.
Yeah, you're too busy looking at everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Your energy's going elsewhere. You know, you've got to put it in yourself.
It's the same as just like people. If you got time to hate on people, you've got time to work on your dreams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you're choosing to hate on people opposed to putting that into working on.
The thing is, the reason why generally people hate on people is that they are reminded of what they haven't done or haven't achieved, or because a lot of people are like, I would love to start a podcast, I would love to have 1 million, but they aren't prepared to walk the steps to actually get there.
Yeah.
They just like the concept of it.
Yeah,
They want the
idea.
finished product of it.
And the truth is, if you want something good in your life, like really good or a big milestone, you have to go through hell to get to heaven. Like that's the truth of it. And most people, they want to get heaven without going through hell at all. And that but the rules of engagement are very clear, and that's why like people look for instant rewards or instant gratification. Is that what it is? Instant gratification, where and that's why they drink, right? To get the instant highs and feel good about themselves at that time, to then go through hell later on. So I kind of see it that we have a choice now in life. We can either go through hell now to come out on the other side in heaven, or we can go to heaven now to walk the kind of steps through hell after that.
Yeah, I mean, for where I am now in life, although I'm in like a relatively decent position with the business and myself, I've had to go through a lot of shit to then come out to this now. And I think if you gave that in a plan to someone, they would be like, no.
Exactly 100%. Yeah, 100%. Like, I totally agree. Like, nobody's walked in anyone's shoes, though, so you can never really understand what it's like for anybody. But I think it's exactly the same for me. I've been doing what I've been doing for like 16, 17 years. And sometimes I wouldn't wish some of the paths I've walked on, I wouldn't even wish on my own enemy. Like,
it's like don't even go there.
Yeah, you wouldn't like, but then I can't even resonate with what some people have had to go through themselves. So life should just be from an understanding place, and I wish anyone that wants to do well in life, like I wish well.
Of course.
I think we're all entitled or deserve to have success, and whatever that success looks like, by the way, whether it's having a family or a multi-million-pound business or health. Like success can be in all strides, but I suppose the ultimate in all of this is about being happy with what you've got rather than worrying about what you haven't got. The going back to this gratitude. And
I mean, I like with me now, the driving force behind what I do, not only with like trying to help people who are struggling with their mental health and stuff like that, just like in general, my overall being, I would say, is I don't want to get to the end and then meet the person that I could have been, and you're like, that's not me.
I've heard that saying.
That would be very, very sad.
Yeah. I've heard that saying. Cause
it's been said in a few different contexts, like different words, but
So real hell is when you get to the end of the road and you meet the person you could have actually been. Yeah. And you know what? That's what I said to my dad about this podcast, because there's been a lot of like investing about this podcast, and I said to my dad literally is that I really want to try this out, and I didn't want to get to 70 years old knowing I could have had an opportunity to do something,
and you didn't.
And I just didn't, because nobody starts a podcast or nobody does these things. So why would you do it? And it's like, just really want to do it.
Are you happy you done it?
No,
I wish I didn't.
I wish I didn't. I'm totally not enjoying it. I love talking to people. The only dynamic you got to get over is the fact that you got all these cameras facing you and all these lights in your face, and it's a box room, and everybody else like over there is watching you. And
stop looking at me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even notice it anymore.
It's blocked it out. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
But it's good, and it comes back to those words like "what if," like. Those can be pretty haunting, like later on in life, like when you had all these opportunities that just seemed like, I'll be right.
Yeah.
And then you get there, and you're like, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. And like you don't want to live like that.
There's not much time, really. It's short.
Do you know what makes it harder now as well? Especially, there is so much that we have an opportunity to do in our lives compared to our parents.
Oh, massive.
It's like, it makes it worse because we sometimes don't even know what we want, but I see Olly doing this, I see Sammy doing that, I see Nemo doing this, Christina, Maria, like all these people doing these different things. It's like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Actually, no, what you actually got to do is sit with yourself and understand what you actually want for you. You know, because the to fast track yourself to misery. Like you start thinking about everybody else and what everybody else is doing.
The green-eyed monster, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's mean like just try loads of things. Like,
Yeah.
you got time.
True,
You just try like a million different things. You may not like all of them, but at least you tried it.
100%. 100%.
And you might find something which you really love and end up being incredibly successful at.
100%.
And you know, if you didn't go out and put yourself out there or try these new things, then that career which you had dreamed of would never have come to fruition.
100%. I said to myself last year, and I keep talking about it all the time, but I said I really want to start learning to box, and I really want to do a podcast. I've boxed before, but I've never done a podcast before. But they were two of the best decisions that I've actually made this year. Fantastic. That I've actually had like a real natural high from.
Yeah.
And natural buzz, isn't it?
A natural buzz, yeah. So you got to try these things.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. But I'm a very ambitious person now, so I'm like in the mindset of this is going to be the best podcast in the UK and stuff like that, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and I can't wait to get this guest on and that. So I'm like, I
get like that with my writing.
Do
you?
You know,
I do this thing, right? So I go into Waterstones to walk around, imagine my books on the shelf, and I'm like, yeah, this would be cool.
Nice,
but I imagine my success before I've actually reached it.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, like with that, which can be a little bit dangerous, is if you celebrate with that imaginary success a little bit too early.
No, I think it's good actually, because you're kind of becoming what you want to be.
Yeah.
Rather than it's over there and I need to achieve it, where it kind of separates you from it. So I think it's good.
Yeah. It's like having the right mindset in this, in what we're trying to achieve is a game changer. By the way, you are whatever you think you're going to be.
Yeah, you are that. You are that.
Yeah.
And all right, we might not be the best podcast in the UK. We might be the second best.
Yeah.
Like I'll still be happy, or the third. You still be happy with the outcome, right? So mindset, it's all about mindset.
It's again like with people's goals like that. They just see like the goal. Here they are, right? I can't really get there. It's just they don't think about like I just got to take one step. And then before they know it, they've taken 2 and 3, and the next thing they're halfway there.
Well,
and
that is true, isn't it? Do what you can.
Yeah, breaking it down.
It's 100% that. If you look at the whole mountain you got to climb, it's like, fuck, that's overwhelming,
that's
right? But when you start talking about what you said, one literally step, 1% of that 100% every day, like you're climbing that mountain.
Yeah.
So like you've got to really, really break things down into bite-sized pieces.
And that's where the consistency comes in with it all. And if you don't stay consistent, you just be like, you'd be like swimming upstream, and you stop for a little break and you get pushed back. And then
it's like the pump, you stop pumping. The water goes back down. Got to keep that pump going, people.
You got to keep the pump going. And the thing is, I find that if that, like we were speaking about earlier, if you're not focusing on that one thing, it's hard to keep the pump going in kind of multiple different places. Spread too thin. Like
have a chief aim.
And to be honest, I've felt it through starting the podcast and doing the boxing and having a business, like, and I've just not long moved out. It's like you've got all of these things going on all at the same time, but you just got to keep putting things in boxes, perspective. Like, don't overwhelm yourself too much, and ride the waves.
How I see it is like you got like a load of accelerators in front of you, but you've only got 2 feet.
Yeah,
you can't push them all at once, like to the floor.
It's true,
and that's what I found with the podcast. Like, I'm really hard marketing the podcast, like delving deep into it. But then the business suffers because you've pulled back all your energy off of that. So then now you got to jump over to the business to then push that right back up. But then the podcast takes a bit of a backseat. And it's just constantly juggling things. And if you don't acknowledge that, before you know it, something's in trouble, and it's not good.
And it goes back around to that expectation, right? Nobody's saying that what you've done is wrong, by the way. Like, so you're trying something new out, you do the podcast, all right, put that on pause, go back to what you're doing. There's no right or wrong. Like, as long as you're happy with what you're doing, it doesn't really fucking matter what anyone else is doing. Like, so the reality is, I just think like it's the inspiring thing that you're doing is just you're trialing all these new things out. You put yourself out, because what's the weekly
Foreman's Weekly.
Foreman's Weekly.
That's
now
my new
as well.
one.
Yeah.
Started a new little YouTube channel for the business.
Okay, wicked.
Yeah.
So I have an absolute ball with that. I think the guys they say, "Oh, we don't like it," but they secretly love it. But I let them loose with the cameras when I'm off on another site or not there. Look, I'm in doing admin roles. And I just like get the cameras back, take stuff off, and like the weird shit on there, it just makes me laugh that they filmed in the day, and it's great.
Yeah, they have fun with it. Do you know what? It's like it's good. It creates like a good having fun at work. You can't have it all too serious. It's such a fine line to walk down where you've got to make sure people are engaged.
I mean, like with us, so what I do is every quarter we have a team building day. So we go out, like I'll take them out and I'll pay for them to do whatever. So like that might be we all go to Top Golf, like have a load of beers, load of foods, and just have fun for a couple of hours. Or what else do we do? We did an escape room. That was actually quite funny.
Was it?
Yeah, it's chaos.
I've never done one before.
It's chaos when all the guys are drunk and you're just there. Oh God.
Really? Everyone's drunk in there as well?
Yeah. We went for a meal before and then went over to an escape room, and then we just go out for like a big meal, and just sit and chat shit. And it's a great let off for them. They feel valued as like a member of the team, and I can recommend it to everyone. Who actually has like staff employees.
Team bonding.
Give that a go. It doesn't have to be we used to every month and it gets very expensive.
I know.
So I moved it to every quarter. But even
I remember I used to take some of my staff out and we go for drinks, and I would be paying for the night. And then all of a sudden they'd be like getting shots, they'd be getting bottled. You're like, whoa, everyone calm down for a second. It's like, tap water. Nobody said anything about
everything's on tap, isn't it?
That's literally what it is. So I think you got to like, it's good to do these good things for people, but there has to be boundaries. Like you got to do that. Yeah. Everyone's got to respect those boundaries as well. Like, it's nice that individual's doing it, but don't just take, because that's not what this situation's about. It's about the boss that is actually trying to do a nice thing for you, respect it and be responsible with it, so that they can feel comfortable in that moment as well.
To do it
again.
If the guys take the piss, and they are taking the piss, and I know they're taking the piss, I won't do a team building.
Good.
I won't tell them. And then they'll work out why the team building's not going on. And then their attitude will buck up. And work goes good.
The thing is, like, I think in success of if business is going well, you should find ways of sharing that in different ways. I'm not saying just give them money, but find ways of sharing that. If business is not doing well, that's when the dynamic has to change as well, right? Yeah. So that people can't just expect to live in la la land where, because business, like, I think sometimes this is the employee mindset where, because you're working for a company, you're not ultimately responsible for something. But the truth is, businesses don't have unlimited funds. If they're giving to you, it's because things are going well in its current climate. But doesn't mean it's going to constantly go well. And I think I heard this really good saying once, actually, about how the saying about the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
The saying I heard is the grass is greener wherever you water it.
Oh yeah.
And like, I think that the reality is if you respect the environment that you're in and you nourish it and you look after it, it will look after look after you back, right? But if you just suck the life force out of it and then just jump over to the next, then you're just going to constantly be jumping around in different things.
Again, like a lot of employees, they don't understand what goes on behind the scenes and how much effort you put in to making sure they can turn up to work today and get paid and provide for their families. And it's not their job really to know, because that's what they're in for, is to be employed, and they don't exactly necessarily need to know. And I don't tell them that about all the shitstorms that go on behind the scenes. But yeah, it's just trying to get the balance right of, you're working well. Here's like a bonus or a day out.
100%. And that's a good way to be. Fine, that's a really good way to be fair. So I'm sure they respect you for it.
They do like it, as far as I know. You're never going to get the full truth out of them.
The thing is like, everything comes with terms and conditions. So it's nice. The good parts are good, and the bad parts aren't so good. Are they? So,
I mean, we've had a few of the guys. We've had guys where he's every job he will find a problem like with the job, and then you give him a solution to the problem, but then there's a problem with that solution. Like he's a problem finder, and that is it.
That's a problem finder. Yeah, do you know what? I've resonated with this so much, by the way, because I actually think it's so easy to find problems. Like
well, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere, right? Like, and it's like when I'm at work or in business, and this person's like, this is a problem and that's a problem. It's like with me, I've like always tried to break through problems all the time, especially when I was under so much pressure with my business at the beginning. I was looking at problems in a different way. I saw them as walls, and I had to just keep smashing through the walls all the time. Where before that moment, I was like, this is a problem, that's a problem. It's like,
it just brings you down.
It just brings you down, and it brings you down. It brings everyone else around you down.
What is a problem, though? What is a problem? It's an opportunity, isn't it, to
move forward?
But nothing can just be straight. Just get to A to B with nothing happening, isn't it? So once you have like a more like understanding or like a higher consciousness or something like that, you can see it from a different angle.
What you were saying, like it's an opportunity to overcome it. People don't understand that that's a step to take.
It's a step.
They don't. They just see the problem.
You just see the problem, and they get emotional.
It's hard. But then it not only is it an opportunity to solve it, it's an opportunity to grow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because next time, the one thing I try not to do in my business too much is give away too many answers. When people have got a problem, I generally want them to try and work it out themselves, or help them find that answer themselves. Because the more they do that, the more they become sustainable in their job role. Otherwise, what ends up happening is whenever they've got a problem, they just keep going back. Keep coming back.
There's no development.
There's no real development for that individual, and everything becomes bottlenecked as well. So as an owner, what you got to be careful of, or a manager, whatever it is that you don't bottleneck things, that everything goes through you all the time. Like you want people want responsibility. People want to be able to make decisions. It's always about making the right decision for the business and for yourself as well, of course, like whether it's through health and safety but I think the ultimate aim for me is to make sure everybody feels competent and comfortable in the role that they're in, so that then when you scale the business up, you've already got the people in the right places passing the right message on to the next people. And
that's good, man.
I mean, it's tough to find someone who actually can identify a problem and solve the problem. That's like a little bit more of a rare thing, and you often find they are business owners because we monetize off of solving a problem. Like someone's tree is blocking that light and they want sun in the garden. Right, that's a problem, but I can solve that. And it's this much.
And then you're going to send someone to just do the problem you solved, kind of thing, to just do the action. Exactly. Rather than thinking about the process.
So they're not having to think about, I'm solving this problem. But it's turning up to do a job.
So
that's why you find a lot of entrepreneurs they will find a problem, they'll find a solution, then this is how much the solution is. And a lot of people in business who do want to go into business, that's the best way to get into a career you want to go down, is just identify a problem with that career, find a solution that you can monetize and build a business on it.
Why not? Why not?
And business really is that simple.
It's problems.
It's just solving problems for exchange of money. And a lot of the time, that is all it is.
That's why you need a good mind, I think, to be an entrepreneur. Your mindset is kind of everything.
Do you know what I heard? I've only found out about this recently. Intrapreneurs. Have you heard?
It rings a bell.
So entrepreneurs is obviously what we do. Intrapreneurs are entrepreneurs that work inside of businesses. So they're a version of that. And actually my dad was one of those. So he worked for a big multi-million-pound company, like 8 figure, but actually, and then he worked for an even bigger business, and he was a director level, but he was a natural entrepreneur inside a business.
So he had like a platform to do his thing in.
Which essentially made him an entrepreneur, because he was in.
That's cool, man.
That's what they define him as. And then, do you know what? So I've learned a lot from him through him being inside of a business rather than actually having his own business. But now that he's working with me and we're doing the business together,
he's an entrepreneur.
He is. He is. But it's just touch wood, is moving in the right direction.
Blessed.
Yeah.
100%. even like roles like that, like who work within a bigger company, people who can identify and solve the problems, they make the most money, usually through commission, and that's a driving factor for them.
Yeah, yeah. And the more problems you solve, the better. The more chance you have going up the tree. But it's quite interesting because it's whether you're resilient enough to all of the stress and pressure that you also have to deal with.
Yeah, it's long. Some people don't want it.
No, some people. And I understand why, by the way, because that stress and pressure can actually really ruin you if you go beyond the kind of barriers of your own mental state.
Yeah, you got to kind of be a little bit mental, I think. A little
bit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Insane, like a little bit.
Do you know what? Like, if you're passionate about anything in life, speculatively, someone would look at you and say, that person's mad. Yeah. Whether, like, you're covered in tattoos or you're running a business or, you know, or you spend a week with the monks.
Yeah,
like,
we're all mental, man.
Everyone's. I had a birthday card once that said, we're all born mad, some still remain so, or something like that.
Are we mental, or is it because like society as a whole are kind of programmed to not be mental and fit a certain criteria?
Go in a box.
In a box. Yeah. And now because we're out of that box, we're mental.
Yeah. Essentially,
I think that is it through schools. Like, you know, you're in that box, and a lot of you find a lot of the time entrepreneurs in school, they didn't do that well. They didn't get on in that system they were being pushed into.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% that. And I think what the beauty of where life is going is that we're all breaking out of different versions of boxes now in life, whether it's, you know, becoming an entrepreneur, spending time with the monks, you know, the typical thing of getting married, having kids and following that societal process. Even though some people are happy to do that, by the way, and I have but that isn't the be all and end all anymore, which is beautiful because now we get to go out in life and experience a whole new dynamic of what most people didn't get to experience before. But that's an opportunity for us, and why would we want to miss that opportunity to just keep everything the same all the time? I don't think we should. I think if there's, like with me, I love trying new things out. One of my issues is I struggle to have conviction in following it through all the time. But the good thing is I've got an accountability partner, so he's gonna
I think like with education as well, it's kind of like when you go through the whole education system, you're going through like junior school, secondary school, you go to college and you go to university. It's like that stages, but then, you know, they're teaching you to grow up, as it were. But I think everyone should keep a bit of their childness in them, you know, the curiosity of like doing whatever, and just having a laugh, mucking around, because children are normally pretty happy.
They're in like they're in their truest form, by the way. Like, you're in your almost truest form when you're a child. It's when you like have to go through life and you get tainted and you go through trauma that it actually reshifts your whole entire brain. But that is you're like in the happiest form as a child.
Yeah, they say twice a baby, once a man, or something like that. As you're young, and then you become a man, and as you get older again, you're like a kid again.
Yeah. I see that with my parents as well. My dad's very like childlike minded, and I heard this. I can't remember his name. Is it Patrick Bet David?
Yeah.
And he was like, the most happiest people are the ones that stay childlike minded the longest. And I generally believe that. Like, I think sometimes I take life too seriously myself. But my dad, he's like a bit opposite. He's quite opposite to that, and my sister as well. She's very much like my dad. I'm more like my mum. So sometimes it can be a bit too serious, you know. And I think it's like it's using these things at the right time. You know, it's being a child when it's a good time to be a child. But taking life seriously when it's
you just need to understand the situations that you're in require a certain point from each, so you're not going to act a child in like a recruiting a new member of staff or something like that.
Right.
But when you're by yourself, that's it. But when you're with your mates or something, or by yourself and you're just chilling out, relaxing, you know, I get massive dopamine hits off of just listening to music by myself, like either driving around or just having a cigar and I'm having a great time, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, you're in good company.
Yeah.
By yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Important, isn't it?
Definitely. And a lot of people are, I think, afraid now to spend time with themselves for the fear of looking weird.
Yeah, or what they might find.
Yeah, that's you hit the nail on the head. What they might find, because when you really look within, like unless you've dealt with mentally, internally, what you've got to deal with, then it feels quite ugly to deal with, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people bury their demons, but they don't face them. And they will come back from the dead when you least expect it.
Do you know what's crazy? And I was told this before, is that, you know, they people don't want to face their demons, but what would be the real worst case scenario of you facing it? Like, what would actually really happen? Change.
People are scared of change, bro.
People are scared of change, right?
Big time.
But you're living with a demon, for a long time, and it's like people are scared. So I can't see what would actually change. Like, it would change, but would it change into a negative or a positive? I can't see how it would turn into
so
a
someone's
negative.
got a demon and they have to face that demon.
Yeah.
Why don't they face the demon, you're saying?
Yeah, like we're assuming there's going to be a negative outcome, right? Or because of this change.
Or it's too painful. Some people it's too painful to look at.
Yeah.
They might not even be aware of it.
The thing is, it is too painful, but they're already in pain. And this is the dynamic. So you get stuck in a rut, right? It goes round in circles. But if you actually start facing these demons that we do have,
and not only that, I think you need like awareness of how to face the demon.
Yeah, you do. You need the tools.
The tools,
the support structure around you, the environment.
Yeah, because it could be too much. Could top.
Yeah, 100%.
So 100%. I think it's,
and that's why that's even some. Like, I try to give people advice, life advice, even when I'm at work, and I get a bit like a little bit weary of doing it, because my answer isn't always the right answer for everybody else. It's only what's worked for me, and that sometimes bothers me, because I'll give people advice and then afterwards I might feel a bit like worried about it, because not one size fits all. Yeah,
that's what you should maybe not do, but I'll try not to give advice, but maybe give an opinion.
Yeah,
if you give advice, it's be a bit techie. But if you give your opinion,
then it can be a different.
Like, don't take my advice, but this is
what I would do if I was in that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, I think everything, by the way, regardless of what advice you do get, you've got to make the own decision yourself. You are responsible for whatever that outcome looks like, whether it's bad or good, right? So, you know, but you got to know what's deep within yourself. I think what kind of resonates with you the most, and just
100%. And you're never going to reach out instantly. It's like peeling an onion. You got a lot of layers. A
lot of layers.
Yeah.
See, I become self-aware when I was around 25, your age. So up until your age, I was an absolute lunatic. Bro. So look like, and then it's like, really? Like, whoa.
Yeah.
I need to step back here and like.
But to be fair,
what's going on.
If it happens later on, you'd rather happen at 25 and then go through that.
From that.
To be fair, 27 was mine. But it was exactly the same. I was nuts. The thing is, it's like what you were saying earlier, like, I used to just run into things all the time without taking a step back and and kind of just head first, like go straight into battle, like, and you're fighting these battles that aren't even worth fighting half the time. You know, whether it's like getting stuck in traffic or something very petty, like you're that person I said earlier, you're just looking for problems or looking at problems,
making yourself busy.
That's exactly it. And then, like, all of a sudden you have that mind shift change, whether it's at 25 or 27, and you look at life in such a different dynamic
shift. I think the whole world has kind of gone through a shift, though, a little bit. Like I think
to
some extent.
100%.
It's weird, isn't it?
It has 100%. Well, you think weird. Like in the 60s, like, there was very kind of like, this is exactly what you got to do. The shift has been massive. And like, to be honest, in the next 30 years, it's going to be even more. And we're going to be like, what the hell is going on? Because
there's going to be people floating.
That's right, maybe. But like, I think it's probably a lot easier to adapt while we're at our ages, as opposed to sometimes when you get older, it's hard to change.
But it's never too late.
It's never too late, by the way. It's just a mindset. It is just totally a mind, and you've just got to keep holding yourself accountable every step of the way. You know,
I mean, for everyone it's different. For everyone, their mindset's different. Like, my mindset might not be for someone else, and that's absolutely fine. As long as you're happy, cool.
Well, it's like David Goggins.
True,
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to talk about this with you actually, because you met David Goggins, didn't
Yes.
you?
Oh, is it? Yeah. Oh, how?
And you got a photo with him.
I got a photo of him.
Nice,
It was
nice.
a great day.
Yeah.
Nice. What was that? So how did you meet him?
So it was at Arnold Sports Festival at the
Nice.
NEC in Birmingham.
Nice.
Was that the NEC? I think so, something like that. But yeah, no, I got it for his birthday present. Like
Oh.
a ticket to go and meet him and get a photo, and I had the best time of my life.
He's
Oh,
like,
that's
stay
sick,
hard.
bro.
And he's like, stay hard, man.
Yeah,
Like,
do you know what? I didn't know what to say. I was like,
yeah, I know.
so I was like in the queue, and I was like,
Mesmerised.
shit, what do I say?
yeah.
I've got to not mumble or stutter. I've got to say something clear and to the point. And all I came out with was, "It's an honour to meet you." But then it was great because
It's real.
That's
it
good
was
enough.
yeah, it was real, and he actually seemed generally surprised, opposed to like everyone was just like, oh, "Hi, how are you?"
Yeah, well, that came from quite a sincere place, to be fair. Like,
Yeah.
and that, so, but yeah, he going back to the point is that this thing about mindset is the way he talks to himself, or even how
It's everything.
he's strong on him, he's hard on it, like he's very, very hard on himself, and yeah, that is it's quite interesting because certain things work differently for different people.
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
they?
Goggins' mindset is not for most.
No,
I love him, and like I don't even think I could maintain his mindset for like a huge period of time.
Yeah. It's a tough thing to. But he went through a tough thing in life, and he went through a lot of hell anyway himself, didn't he?
But
So
you normally look at like the kindest people are who have been through the most trauma.
yeah, the most empathetic, the most compassionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they care more. Isn't
They
it?
care
It
the most.
affects
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I think so, and then they're trying to be the change that they want to see in the world, right? So like it's.
I mean, look at Robin Williams,
Excuse me.
like the happiest man ever.
I know.
Yeah.
You would never have thought anything, right?
No.
Yeah, unbelievable. And do you know what? I used to love him.
Yeah.
And who was there was I can't remember his name. Was like it wasn't Dustin Hoffman, but there was another actor, and there was an actor who was a heroin addict. Like I don't even know how that's even feasible. How you even like live a life where? So yeah, it's unbelievable what like some people are actually going through, and then how they're using things to cope with.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty good. Like when you're in it, masking it to everyone else around you. Like you're not gonna know just by looking. You gotta like delve a bit deeper and like ask a few questions to get
the real
little
answer.
glimpse.
Yeah, little glimpse. But you got to be responsible once you see that glimpse as well, and and like actually someone done it to me the other day, and they knew I was annoyed about something, and I kind of switched off because they weren't really they weren't being too empathetic about it. And I said, look, it's fine, don't worry. And they're like, what do you mean it's fine? And it's like they want to dig, but now they're digging it in a negative way.
Yeah.
They're not really looking for trying to get a point. What do you mean it's fine? Is it fine though? And you're just like, do you know what? Like you don't really care. You're looking to try and create a problem here. Let's just drop it and forget about it. And then I was quite and that's some people that you're faced with on a daily basis. But
yeah, I mean when we saw sort of the aftermath of that guy who jumped from the roof, like kind of like I just checked in on people.
Yeah.
I went in and checked on my sister, see if she was all right. Sent a few messages around, just checking in on people I hadn't spoken to in a little while.
100%.
And kind of like puts it into perspective how 1 second someone's there, 1 second someone's not.
Like yeah. That's why you got to cherish.
Yeah.
Cherish
You
each
never
other.
know
Really.
when the last moment is.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? That was a great conversation. To be fair,
sweating.
yeah. Do you know what? This room is getting super hot.
Amazing story, bro. Like
Thank you.
what you've been through and up until now, and what you've achieved, and what you're going to achieve. So what's next?
What's next is we will continue growing the business.
Yep.
Into a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep on growing the podcast. Maybe a little bit of rebranding here and there, but we'll still grow the podcast. I'm working on a book which I hope to have published. I don't know when, but at some point. And I would like to move into the motivational speaking space, of sharing my story and trying to help people which can't see a way out at the moment.
Cool, man.
So that's what's next. It's a lot, but I've got. If everything goes okay, I've got a lot of time.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely, you're gonna achieve all of that, bro, and more, I believe.
Why
So
not?
It's
Sky's
good.
the limit, right?
Yeah, and
100%.
what would your message be to the world if you had a message?
the message to the world is, whatever you think, like you may think you're alone right now in whatever you're doing or whatever you're going through, and you think you are the only person in the world who is feeling that. The chances are someone very close to you is feeling exactly the same.
Nice.
Love that.
Love that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Olly.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Big love.
Cheers.
Bro.